Gentleman's time has expired. I'll now recognize myself. Inspector Horowitz, would it be fair to characterize you as one of the institutionalists of the IG, long-serving, and a career that, without patting yourself overly on the back, but deservedly, that has been about promoting the responsible behavior of the IG and the performance of their duty?
Congressman, that's certainly how I viewed myself. My responsibilities through my time here as IG.
Well, that's how this committee and other committees of the Congress view you for your years of service, and I want to thank you. This is a difficult hearing because many people perhaps would like to make this not about weaponization. But in your many years of experience, the personal actions of individuals, for whatever reason, including an unstated bias, leads to bad conduct, including HR wrongdoing. Is that correct?
That's correct. And one of the hardest jobs we have, as you know from the work you've worked on, I've worked on, is understanding and figuring out motives.
And you often never know the motive. You only know that the action was inconsistent with policy, law, and the like. That's correct, but we do our best, for example, in the Fast and Furious work, the FISA work, others, to look at as much email, text messages, instant messages, et cetera, to try and understand whether there was evidence of motive or what the evidence of motive was. So leaving motive out for a moment, in the case of the way the pulling and withholding of these clearances was done, is that clearly inconsistent with policy, procedures, tradition, and the fair treatment of an employee?
Actually, it actually was somewhat, in many ways, consistent with the policies, practice, and procedures, which is why I think there are several policy issues that are important to talk about in terms of reforms, and I know the submissions here have raised some of them.
So, you're an attorney in addition to other things. The law is not always about fairness.
Unfortunately, that's true.
And would you characterize that this is an example where, even if marginally supported by law and regulation, it is by no means a fair way to treat somebody?
I agree. I think, as I've said, it was consistent with policy to allow someone like Mr. Allen to be out of his job on unpaid leave for more than 2 years and try and fight that process.
So not only does Congress need to find a way to prevent these unfairness, but we also suffer from the fact that this can be done for no reason or for an unknown reason. Is that correct?
That's correct. And I think that is some of the key policy issues that are here before all of you, which is Mr. Allen had an ability to challenge this, as limited as it was, because he was alleging a whistleblower retaliation. He wouldn't have that same opportunity but for the fact he was alleging retaliation for whistleblowing.
Mr. Issa, can I add to that?
Yes, please.
Mr. Horowitz is talking about the procedures of protecting, so going through and appealing, but I think it's important to remember that substantively, this whole process started because Mr. Allen made a protected disclosure, and several of the things that Mr. Horowitz...
And I want to get to that. Going back to whistleblower retaliation, under the intent of our whistleblower statute, we intend to protect a whistleblower normally from all retaliation, including any loss of pay. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So had the agency made what would have been a finding of whistleblower on the front end, notwithstanding whistleblowers don't have to be right, they just have to be whistleblowers. Had they made the finding that was clear, then he would not have lost a day's pay because they would have treated the pay in some way as a whistleblower.
Right. As long as they thought he had a reasonable belief in what he said, they should not have taken a personnel action against him.
Okay, so in a little bit of a circular item here, and again, I'm staying away from motive for a moment, certainly the tools were available to not deny him 1 day of pay, and ultimately the resolution is someday in the future, not yet, not after 4 months, he will get made whole in theory in pay, but in fact, it never had to be that way. and the judgment used in this case is suspect.
Yeah, and that is exactly why, Congressman, we put out the management alert we did, to point out the fact that you don't need to put someone on unpaid leave while you review a allegation against the person. You can find other opportunities for them, other positions they can continue to work in, even if you think they shouldn't have the clearance.
Thank you.